The most important relationship that you are ever going to build is the one with yourself. Not with your family, not with your friends, not with your partner, not with your kids, but the one with you, yourself. And I know that up till this point, you have been ignoring it. So let's change that. But first, why is it so important to build a relationship with yourself? Why is it so important to love yourself? There is this scene in the movie Lapata Ladies where Deepak's mom, who is Fool's mother-in-law, is talking to Pushpa, or like the runaway bride, and telling her about this sabzi that she used to love because her mom made it as a kid. But then once she got married, nobody in her in-laws family liked that sabzi, and so she stopped making it. And now there has come a point in life where she doesn't even know what she likes anymore.
दिक्कत तो ये है कि हमको अब वो भी याद नहीं कि हमको क्या पसंद है.
And that is exactly what happens when you nurture every relationship in your life apart from the one with yourself. I'm sure that you must have seen countless examples of this exact thing happening in your own households with your moms, your grandmoms. I know that whenever I ask my mom what makes her happy, she does not have an answer because she has never spent time understanding or figuring out what truly makes her happy. She has lived her life prioritizing everybody else's needs but herself. And as a result of that, today she struggles with low self-confidence, low self-esteem, lack of motivation, lack of clarity, lack of boundaries. She has such a hard time taking care of her own self because she just does not know how. And that is exactly what happens when you don't build a strong relationship, a strong sense of self-love for yourself. Now, so there are enough studies, enough research that has gone on to show that when you start to love yourself, when you start to build a healthy relationship with yourself, that impacts every single area of your life positively. It improves your sense of self, it improves your self-confidence, it improves your clarity, your motivation. It makes you less likely to be affected or feel overwhelmed by negative emotions. You know those people who are very sure of themselves, who are confident when they speak, who don't seem to get fazed by the hard things in life? Those are people who have a very strong relationship with themselves, who love themselves at the very core. And today we are talking about exactly how to build this kind of relationship with yourself, how to foster those feelings of love towards yourself, even if up till this point you have grown up hating yourself and hating your life. All right, let's go. Now, most of the core beliefs that we have about ourselves get formed during childhood. Often the experiences that we have as children can leave emotional gaps, unmet needs, and reinforce negative beliefs that persist way into adulthood. So if you feel underconfident today, for example, it's perhaps because you were made to feel not worthy as a child. So there is a method in therapy, in psychotherapy, that is often used to counteract these limiting beliefs, these negative beliefs that got formed as a child, and that is called reparenting. It basically involves you as an adult taking on the role of a nurturer, a guardian, and actually creating a safe space for your inner child to fulfill those needs that went unmet when you were a kid. So reparenting essentially fills all of the holes that were left during your childhood, fills these gaps by providing a safe, a nurturing space for you to find love, for you to find comfort, and for you to find healing. All of the things that may have been missing in your childhood. So how do you go ahead and reparent yourself, or how do you become a nurturer for yourself? It all starts by taking time to reflect on your experiences, both as an adult and as a child. So sit down, and it will take a little bit of time. You will have to take out dedicated time to do this. Sit down and think and visualize your inner child or yourself as that little person, little kid, and think about your experiences. This is of course not a one-time exercise. It will take a couple of different sittings for you to get through this. And reflect on all of the experiences where you felt neglected, where you felt unseen, where you felt violated or emotionally hurt. Visualize yourself at a younger age and then connect with that version of you, and basically ask yourself what it is that young version required at that point in time during that experience for it to not have had such a scarring effect. For example, as a kid, if you were often scolded or dismissed for expressing your feelings or expressing your emotions, that presents itself as you seeking validation in the present. Another example is that if you were often scolded for even the slightest mistake you made, now you have become a perfectionist to compensate for that, because you just feel like if you ever make a mistake, you are letting down the people in your life. Okay, so that is how those traumas manifest as the person you are today. So what you want to do is sit down, reflect on all of these experiences that you had, as many as you can remember, and think back to what you would have wanted from an adult, from your parent at that point in time, for you to feel safe and emotionally secure. So, for example, I was scolded a lot as a kid for any stupid mistake, silly mistake, right? I would actually have wanted for my parent to come up to me and say, it's okay, it happens, mistakes happen, but try and not do that again, instead of scolding, beating, all of those things, right? So sit down, figure out what it is that you went through and what you would have wanted that experience to be instead. This basically helps you recognize the needs that were not fulfilled in your childhood, whether it was lack of validation, whether it was lack of encouragement, whether it was lack of a safe, secure space, whether it was lack of emotional support. Figure out what it is that was missing. And then once you have done this exercise a couple of times, once you've figured out the different things that led to you having the core negative beliefs that you have about yourself today, the next thing you're going to do is figure out a way to fulfill those needs in the present. And that is exactly what reparenting is about. Now, this is going to look different for everyone. So, for example, if you were somebody who was neglected as a child, you never had a safe space to express your emotions, now you want to invest time practicing self-soothing activities, invest time finding people who will provide you that safe space, that comfortable space where you can express your emotions freely. Now, the ways that you find to fulfill these needs can both be self-soothing ways where you do it for yourself. So, for example, if you want a safe space to express your emotions, you can journal. Or you can try and find other people to help you with this. So if you go to therapy, that's somebody else helping you, providing you with a safe space for your emotions. Similarly, if you find a good group of friends who help you through this, that's also a way of building a secure network around yourself that allows you to fulfill these emotional needs. At the same time, I want you to bring back your childhood hobbies. Now, things that you wanted to do as a kid are the purest form of self-love. You wanted to do these out of the pure joy of it, for just the enjoyment of it. There was no ifs and buts attached to it. There was no end goal attached to it. If you were playing in the mud as a kid, you did it because it was fun. And children are the perfect example of self-love, right? They're not doing it because it's selfish. They just feel this will fulfill their need in some way. So when you are doing this journaling exercise, focus on figuring out what are the hobbies that you had as a kid. I, for example, had art as a huge hobby when I was a kid. I also loved playing pakram pakrai. I loved going on the swings, things like that. So when I do them, even as an adult, it gives me the same amount of joy that it did when I was a kid. And why I want you to do this is because it helps you reconnect with your inner child to understand yourself better from when you were a kid up to now when you're an adult. And two, it allows you to do things for the pure joy of it. And that is the purest form of self-love, and that strengthens your bond with yourself like nothing else. You cannot begin to build a relationship with yourself unless you trust yourself and unless you have emotional dependability on yourself. How do you do that? The first thing you want to do here is to start by fulfilling the promises that you make to yourself, right? Think about somebody you love. What is the overwhelming emotion that comes to mind? Something like trust, honesty, dependability, right? You love people you are able to trust. And one of the biggest reasons that we are unable to feel that kind of love for ourselves is because we are not able to trust ourselves. And the reason that we are not able to trust ourselves is because we haven't given our brain enough data points where we find our own selves reliable. For example, if you make a promise to yourself today that you are going to go get up and exercise and go eat healthy, and tomorrow you break that promise and the first thing you do in the morning is go eat like samosa or vada pav, right? You broke that promise immediately. So your brain now thinks that you are not trustworthy. And because you're not able to trust yourself, hence, you're not able to love yourself fully. So the first thing I want you to do here is start by taking small actions that help you rebuild this trust that you've lost in yourself subconsciously, right? Make small promises to yourself. So let's say that today you commit to going for a walk for 20 minutes tomorrow. Don't make it every single day if you know that you're not going to fulfill that promise. You want to start at step 0. You want to slowly build up to a point where your brain knows completely that your own mind is a safe space for it. And that can only happen when you are able to fulfill the promises that you are making to yourself, right? For most people who are going through issues with sense of self-worth, with lack of self-confidence, etc., their own mind is not a safe space for them. They can't trust it because they have never allowed themselves to fulfill the promises that they make to themselves. So that is the first thing you are going to do when you start to create an emotionally safe environment for yourself. The second thing you're going to do here is reframe your negative self-talk, right? There is a tape recorder going on in our heads constantly criticizing us for every little thing that we do. And that criticism is actually becoming a data point for our brain. This is what our brain relies on. So if I tell myself, oh my God, I am underconfident, and because of that fear, I'm not able to go on stage and perform, that fear gets cemented. And now the next time when something like this happens, I will be even more fearful. You see how that rotation happens? That is exactly what we have to challenge. We have to act on it first, and the belief system will change automatically. So I want you to create a list of affirmations for yourself. I'm also going to link a list of like Pinterest affirmations that I personally use in the description below. Use these every morning, wake up, go high five yourself in the mirror and say these affirmations out loud. Whenever you are having that inner critic come out and criticize whatever you are doing, whatever you are thinking, bring out these affirmations and say them out loud or in your head to basically counteract that negative self-talk that you have. So when you start to fulfill the promises that you're making to yourself, and when you continuously challenge this negative self-talk, your brain automatically starts to shift that needle towards trusting yourself, towards believing in yourself, towards having that safe space in your own head by loving yourself. And the third thing you want to do here is to normalize messing up. Especially in India, we have a lot of pressure to succeed in whatever we pick up, right? So if you're doing XYZ, you have to do it perfectly or otherwise you're a crap person. And that belief keeps getting cemented again and again every time somebody reprimands you, every time your boss says something, every time your parent says something, and you internalize those beliefs. So the next time that you mess up and there's nobody around to witness, you are calling yourself names, you are saying negative things to yourself. So while we are already challenging negative self-talk, you also have to become okay with giving yourself space for making mistakes, for making errors. If it is not a life or death situation, if it's a situation where you have not killed anybody and not hurt anybody, you're okay. It's okay to make that mistake. What is the worst that can happen? Maybe you lost money. Maybe you lost a little respect. Maybe you didn't learn a lesson from that mistake. And that's about it. You can still move on and still have faith in yourself and still trust yourself to do better next time. And that is the belief that you want to keep cementing again and again. So every time you make a mistake, you have to remind yourself that if nobody got hurt and if nobody got killed, it is okay. It can be worked upon. Think of somebody you absolutely admire or think of somebody you love. Why do you love them so much? I'm going to take a very popular example here, and that is of Mr. Ratan Tata, who recently passed away. But if you look at the posts of people when he passed away, there was nothing but love there, right? And there were instances of people sharing their personal experiences with Mr. Tata and how he helped them in their time of need. And he never bragged about it. He never went online and posted about it. All of this was spread through people who had benefited from having interacted with Mr. Ratan Tata. And that is the reason that people love him and admire him so much. He does things for people without expecting stuff in return. He does things for other people without bragging about it. And that becomes an admirable quality. That becomes a quality that we would want in ourselves, right? Now, I don't have any personal affinity to this particular businessman, to this particular icon. But why I'm talking about him is because if you look at anybody that you love, if you look at anybody that you admire them, you love them because of the traits that they have, because of the person that they are. And the reason that you don't love yourself yet is perhaps because you don't have the traits that you admire. For example, so the secret to loving yourself, to having a healthier relationship, a stronger relationship with yourself, is to actually embody the traits in others that you find lovable. So if you find loyalty, strength, courage lovable, you need to start doing things in your life that help you embody those traits. So if you find courage, for example, in somebody a lovable trait, you need to become the person who takes more risks, who does things that require courage. And when you do those things, you start to automatically become a courageous person. And when you develop that trait within yourself, you start to love yourself more. So the next time that you see a friend, a celebrity, any person that you absolutely admire, that you absolutely love, ask yourself, what are their traits that make you love them so much? And then figure out a way to embody those traits, to inculcate those traits, to build those traits into your own life. The more you do this, the more you are able to get rid of the negative habits, the negative traits that you have, the ones that you don't like in yourself as much, and that helps you build a better relationship with yourself in the long term. Most of us just keep waiting for that perfect moment for things to change, right? So how will I love myself? Well, it'll automatically happen. I will wake up one day and I'll be in love with myself, but that's not how things work, right? If you are somebody who is already riddled with negative self-talk, negative self-belief, if you don't trust yourself, if you don't have confidence in yourself, you are not going to magically wake up one day and have all of those qualities. You have to work on them first. Action precedes motivation. So for the next 60 days before we hit 2025, what I want you to do is focus on these 5-6 different steps that I'm going to be talking about in this point. The first thing is to wake up in the morning and practice gratitude every single day. And here specifically, you are going to list down 5 things in yourself, within yourself, that you are grateful for. Maybe you are grateful for the body that you have. Maybe you're grateful for the metabolism that you have. Maybe you're grateful for the food on your table, a roof above your head, the fact that you can taste all of these flavors, the fact that you have enough money to be able to overeat, the fact that you can take care of your family, the fact that you have friends, family in your life that supports you, the fact that you have a sane mind, the fact that you are able to watch and understand this video and take actionable steps. Those are all things to be grateful for. So starting today for the next 60 days, this is exactly what you're going to do. You're going to wake up every single day, write down 5 things in your life that you are grateful for, and you are going to find out 5 things every single day when you wake up. By the end of these 60 days, you will have a completely different inner dialogue, and you can come back on this video and let me know then. The next thing you're going to do is daily self check-in. So at the end of every day, you are going to assess your mood. There are several free journal templates available out there. I will try and link a couple in the description, where you basically just rate your mood on a scale of 1 to 5, and you list down things that energized you that day and things that drained you that day. What this does is, one, it basically helps you understand, become self-aware of what are the things in your life that you like and you dislike, so that you don't become like Deepak's mom 20 years down the line, where you don't have any idea what makes you happy. And 2, it allows you to actually figure out patterns in your life. So maybe you have limiting beliefs, maybe you have friends whose company is not the nicest, and that ways you understand that these are things that you need to get rid of in your life. The next thing you're going to do is practice a daily act of kindness towards yourself. It could be at any time during the day, but every single day you are going to do one kind thing for yourself. It could be something as simple as speaking kindly to yourself, maybe giving yourself a little treat when you achieve something, celebrating a win, whatever it is. One small little act of kindness towards yourself, towards your inner child, every single day you have to practice for the next 60 days. And alongside that, you're going to create self-care days in the week. So start with one day where you practice both physical and emotional self-care. So maybe you don't have time to journal every day. You take this day out where you sit down, you journal, you assess your feelings, you assess your week, your mood, etc. You take time out to pamper yourself, to do self-care activities that make you feel fulfilled, that make you feel happy. Start with one day, increase the duration over time. The next thing you're going to do is practice affirmations to change your inner dialogue. Like we spoke about in the first point, you need to challenge your negative self-talk. And the easiest and one of the most effective ways that I have personally found is to use affirmations. You can see a list of 5 affirmations on screen. Screenshot this, keep it somewhere that it's visible to you. You can go ahead, print it out as well. And every morning when you wake up, high-five yourself in the mirror and speak these affirmations out loud. Say them to yourself. It will feel a little iffy in the beginning, but once you get the hang of it, it will not be awkward. It will actually help you boost your mood a lot. Next, you are going to practice voicing your opinion. So if somebody says something to you and you feel bad, you are going to tell that person that you felt bad. Start with something small that made you feel bad. Slowly work your way up to the bigger things in life, including saying to your parents that they might be wrong sometimes. And finally, you are going to celebrate your wins. Every time you achieve a milestone, including the milestones that we're talking about in this video, you are going to find a way to celebrate it. Give yourself a self-care reward at the end of each win, right? So for example, once I complete like the 60-day thing where I'm practicing gratitude every day, I will take myself out for a nice dinner, or I will go shopping, things like that. If I achieve a milestone at work, XYZ, this is what I'm going to gift myself. Start doing this for yourself, and by the end of these 60 days, I promise you, you'll be a different person. A lot of the times, our own relationship with ourselves is affected by the environment that we live in, right? By the people around us. So if we live in a toxic family, chances are that we have a toxic relationship with ourselves, that we don't love ourselves because our entire attention, our entire focus is being consumed by this toxicity. Similarly, if you are in a toxic work environment, it's very difficult to have an internal dialogue with yourself that makes you believe you are confident because you're constantly surrounded by this toxicity. So again, what I want you to do after watching this video is to focus on decluttering these negative influences that you might have in your life that are stopping you from building that relationship with yourself. Okay? The first step is going to be to identify the negative relationships in your life, whether it is toxic friends, whether it's toxic co-workers, even if it's toxic family members and you can't do anything about it right now, it helps to become aware of it. Most people live in denial their whole lives, and then at the end of it, they don't even know what went wrong. And I don't want that to be you. So sit down, take a long, hard look. Again, if you're doing a journaling practice every day or every week, that should help you identify these patterns, these energy drainer people in your life. And then what you're going to do is slowly start setting boundaries with these people. So with your family members, of course, you have to start with boundaries where you tell them no, where you repeatedly tell them no, where you start to expand your comfort zone a little bit more, even if it makes them uncomfortable. Similarly, with your colleagues, with your friends, respond less to them, converse less with them, say no to more plans with these people. And over a period of time, people become habituated, right? We teach people how to treat us. Most people don't understand this, and it takes a little bit of work because you have to put in like consistent efforts towards getting to that point. So if you have been somebody who has always been a people pleaser, who has done everything that everybody else wants, and suddenly you start saying no, people will be like, "Arey, ye kaise kar rahi hai?" Because it doesn't serve them anymore. So you want to slowly get to a point where you're able to do that, but doing it cold turkey will get you more severe reactions, and that can affect your mental health. So start small. Start with smaller things. Start saying no. Start canceling plans with like smaller plans, etc., and then build your way up. And if somebody is completely toxic, and I know this does not apply to families for most people, but if your friends, co-workers, partners are completely toxic, there's no salvageable thing, cut off your ties with them. The next influence you want to declutter is your social media. So a lot of negativity that comes into our own life and that impacts our internal dialogue, our relationship with ourselves, happens on social media. So I want you to go ahead, sit down, take a look at your social media, see what are the accounts that make you question your sense of self-worth, that make you feel less than, that make you feel negative about your own life. Remove them from your life, cut them out, and then start to follow and start to find more accounts that help you nurture that inner child, that help you nurture a more positive internal dialogue, because that directly impacts your relationship with yourself, that impacts your sense of self-worth, that impacts the love that you have for yourself, right? So unfollow accounts that are not serving you, follow accounts that are serving you. And even if you're the kind of person who is only following accounts that are serving you and that are helping you become a better person, please still limit your time on social media, because there's a lot of information. A lot of information is always chaotic for the brain. And finally, re-evaluate your physical environment as well. Declutter, get rid of things that are no longer serving a purpose. Don't keep holding on to things that remind you of bad things in your life, right? That are not happy memories. Why are you holding on to them in the first place, right? It's not serving a purpose. It's reminding you of that bad thing again and again, and that's not something that you want out of life. And make sure that you create a dedicated space in your room, in your house, if that's possible, where you indulge in these self-care activities. So a dedicated space to journal, meditate, do all of those things, because over a period of time, I have personally found that such places tend to carry that energy. So if I sit and meditate at the same spot every single day, the aura of that place changes. Like my mom sits and does havan every single day on one place, and the aura of that place completely changes. And I think that really, really helps. That's something that I personally follow. So I thought it'll be helpful to share. I've already given you homework in the fourth point, but still, here are the things that I want you to get started with. 1. Practicing gratitude every single day for the next 60 days. 2. Practicing affirmations every single day the moment that you wake up for the next 60 days. Use the affirmations that I shared on screen. 3. Doing a self check-in daily for the next 60 days. Checking in with yourself about how you're feeling, what your emotions are, why you are feeling that way. Just these 3 sentences and you're golden. 4. Practicing one act of kindness every single day. It can feel like a lot, but trust me, it is not. When you learn to become kind to yourself, when it becomes a habit, that also reflects in your interaction with others. You just become a kind person overall. You give more grace, and that improves your relationship with yourself like nothing else. And finally, schedule one self-care day a week where you do things that make you feel happy, that make you feel fulfilled, that make you feel joyous from within. Remember, you guys, just like we nurture the relationships that we have in our life, the relationships we have with friends, family, parents, spouses, kids, we also need to nurture and water this relationship with ourselves if we want to get to a point where we are living a healthy, fulfilled life. We are the only persons who are going to stick with us till the end of life. Nobody else is. So, might as well take care of your mind, your body, your soul while you have the time. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you took something away from it. Let me know which of the things in today's video made the most sense to you. And I'm gonna see you guys very, very soon in the next one.